Hi guys, in today's session, I'll be taking you through Unit Standard 14920, and the title of this Unit Standard is Participate in Groups and Teams to Recommend Solutions to Problems. So in this Unit Standard, it's more of how we work as a team in groups, defining its roles, um, leadership qualities, and how can we solve problems within a group. So in this session also consists of two sessions, so in this video I'll cover both sessions. So let's go through session one, which is contribute to team problem solving. So in session one, the title is contributing to team problem solving, and the learning outcomes for session one is um, contribution made are relevant and focused on the subject matter and the group team's objectives. So in every team, we need to have team objectives, and contributions are made by the team members. So we'll look onto that, into the elements that are in there in terms of the team members. What are the objectives that needs to be done by the members, and also we need to look at the contribution to problem solving, which are made in a range of decision making processes and contents. Contribution to decision making are made on the basis of available data and are made objectively. And lastly, contribution utilizes verbal and non-verbal feedback to show interest and opinion, and to encourage contributions from others. So these are learning outcomes for session one. So let's, before we even look in terms of how to contribute to problem solving, we need to define in terms of what is a team, who is involved, what do they refer in terms of the team. Remember, in order for you to solve problem, we have what we call a team, and within a team, we've got members, and in those members, people have different opinions and different perspective. So we need to further mitigate in terms of what is a team and what can the team in terms of contribute for problem solving. So on slide 4, we look into terms of what is a team. So a team is any group of people organized to work together interdependently and cooperatively to meet the needs of their customers by accomplishing a purpose and a goal. So in this instance, a team is a group of people organized to work together. That is the main function. They are organized to work together to meet or accomplish the purpose and the goals. So obviously within a team, we have what we call objectives. So objectives are tasks or action items that are given within a team in order for the organization to meet their targets or goals, depending on the organization that you are in. So that is a team. So a team is needed in terms of projects that are in place and tasks that are given out by team leaders to a team. So now, in this instance, we've got numerous examples. Since this is a technical support, learnership in this instance, I'll be relevant in terms of example provided. For instance, it could be any project that is given out to a team that a team needs to um, install or create a learn environment. So in that instance, a team would be giving out objectives in terms of who needs to do what, and in order for the team to accomplish or meet their target, there are certain goals that they need to meet. So they'll work together in order for them to meet their goals. And also, we've got types of teams that are in place that we need to understand. So we'll look that into in the next slide. In terms of the type of teams, I've got, it depends in terms of organizations and the settings, in terms of how the settings or how everything is being laid out in terms of the types of teams. So the type of team affects how that team is managed and what are the communication needs of the team are, and where appropriate and what aspects of the project manager needs to emphasize. So in an instance of maybe creating a LAN, that is quite different in terms of communication needs. From a project manager's perspective, each and every individual, meaning the technical aspect or expertise, would need the required skills in order for them to accomplish their goal. So working in a team would be sharing the action items within the individual. So it is different in the team setting, and how the team is managed. Also, in terms of the types of teams, a work group or team may be permanent, forming part of the organizational structure, such as the top management team, or temporary, such as a task force assembled to see through a particular project. Members may work as a group continuously or meet only intermittently. The more direct contact and communication team members have with each other, the more likely they are to function as a team. And also, in terms of the types of teams that we have, we've got functional or departmental teams. So in this instance, groups of people from the same work area or department who meet on a regular basis to analyze customer needs, solve problems, provide members with support, promote continuous improvement, and share information. So in this instance, we have people that meet in a regular basis. So remember that we have we've got goals that are set, and we have a LAN that we need to install. So in this instance, we have a functional team where on a daily basis they meet, they solve problems, they encounter issues, where how they've measured in terms of the cablings from one end to another. We have issues, the resources that we are short of resources. We need expertise in terms of how we configure certain devices like your switches and your routers. We need to solve those kind of problems, and we need to support also in terms of the people that are on the ground from the project manager's perspective. In that instance, the project manager has to have an in-depth analysis of what is happening on the ground and have knowledge. And also in terms of continuous improvement, the team needs to get the skills, needs to do certification. So that is more of a functional or departmental teams. And also we've got cross-functional teams. In this instance, groups of people who are pulled together from across departments or job functions to deal with a specific product, issue, customer problem, or to improve a particular process. So let's say for instance, we've got the security team and the networking team. So in this instance, those both teams will work together, because of now we would need their expertise. For instance, let's have an example of how we've managed to create our LAN. So in this instance, we have managed to create from LAN 1, and everything is being configured accordingly to the networking team. And now we need a security expert to assist us in terms of configuring the security firewall from this building. So now the networking team will liaise with the security team. They will work together. So this is more of a cross-functional, because now the networking team have skills within the networking area, and the security team also has skills within the security area. So they work together. Hence, we call them the cross-functional team. And also we've got the self-managing teams, so groups of people who gradually assume responsibility for self-direction in all aspect of work. In this instance, these group of people would in this instance have certain certain tasks that are assigned to them, so they manage themselves. For instance, you've got consultants, might be the self-managing team. So individually, so within the team, those guys are managing themselves, and they've got the responsibility for self-direction in all aspect of work. So they might do most of the things, where they have skills in both sectors for your networking and your security. So moving further, we've got what we call the team building, which are major issues which affects or facing the teams. So on the next slide, I'll go through the major issues facing teams. For instance, in terms of the team building, we've got the goals and the purpose and the mission. So these three items correlate in terms of, for instance, your mission. It has to correlate with the organization missions, goals, and what are their purpose in terms of their plan for in the next 5 years or so. So with these items, there are questions that needs to be posed in terms of within the team. What are the team's goals? What are the team's purposes in terms of what that they want to achieve or accomplish? So also we've got what is the team's mission and purpose, and how do the team's goals merge with the organization missions and goals. So those three items, your goals, purpose, and mission, correlate with one another in such an instant that, for instance, creating this land, and with the organization as a consultants agency, where the organization they deal with networking. So the organization, their goal is to secure and build networks within their clients. So their mission or their goals correlate with their skills that the employees have. So when these questions are being posed in terms of the team's goals, they need to merge with the organization goals. So that also in itself major issues that a team faces. You find that in most instances, the team's goals do not merge with the organization needs. Is because of, in most instances, you find that the team may require skills in order for them to do the job or do the work in terms of what was expected. Also, we've got the roles and responsibilities. Who will play what role and be responsible for what tasks? Uh, in this instance, it's quite clear in terms of who does what within the team. Sometimes you might find people, 5 people working in the same position, and it's not clear in terms of who does what, and also it confuses the team in most cases. In most instances, teams would send out their employees for training to to upskill themselves, and also to provide in-depth analysis or in-depth skills in order for them to solve problems. So it's very crucial in terms of defining clear roles and responsibilities to team members. And also we've got how will the team take collective responsibility for its work. So giving out the action items, or the action items for individual, it is clear in terms of who does what, and as a collective, as a team, in terms of the achievable goals within the time frame that the team has set for themselves. And also we've got relationships, and how will the relationships be formed and maintained within the team. That is also important. The relationships is very important in terms from the team members and your leaders. How you maintain the relationship between the team members and the leader is very important. And how will the relationships be managed with individuals and groups outside the team, and how will the team find the time to both form a relationship and work on the task it undertakes. That is important. And also in this instance, more teams have team buildings, where the team also go out on the team building only just to strengthen the relationship between members amongst themselves and the team leader, and also to understand one another. That also helps because of now communication within the team member. The team now understand more with individually amongst themselves. Also on slide 8, we've got leadership. Who will lead the team? That is important. We need the right candidate in terms of leading the team for this project, for creating a land, and that leader needs to define the roles for each individual members within the team. And how will the leadership role be shared or rotated? In this instance, you may find that within a team, for instance, in this example, we have a team leader, and within that structure that is formed, we've got the project manager and the team leader. So the project manager will rotate who will be the leader, or the leader within certain task. So project leaders in most instances would lead in terms of the tasks that are given, and they will rotate the leadership. And also in terms of the team meetings, who facilitates the team meetings is also important. Also that the project team leader will also rotate individuals in terms of giving them the chance to facilitate the team meetings. And also we've got power and influence. Who has the power and influence on the team? In most cases, we find that they are individuals who are expert in terms of the field, and those are the ones who have power and influence on the team. So in this instance, might be positive when we have an issue like we need to, configure a switch in this instance, and we have issues where one of our links are down, and we have an expert in this instance where he understands and can be able to solve this certain issue. But because of this particular individual, he's just a team member, and he doesn't possess any leadership position. So but with the expect, because of he has the experience, he can influence the team leader in terms of what needs to be done, and influence his team members on what configuration can be done. So that's what it emphasizes in terms of the influence on the team and how do they exercise it. This is where your project manager or your team leader can, find mitigating steps in terms of, how to exercise the solutions in terms of the problem encountered. And how do team members react and respond to those who with power and influence? It depends. When is positive influence, the team will react in a good manner, where they will, gain the skills also, skills transfer in terms of how to solve the problem. But if it's negative, that's where the team suffers a lot. So in this instance, because of these are major issues facing the teams, so if it's negative, it might affect the whole team, because of now some people might try to draw back or step back in terms of not trusting, some mitigating steps in terms of solving the problem. And also, how do members influence the team? uh, Members within the team, it depends in terms of the problem at hand. So positively, it could be maybe now we need to add certain workstations within LAN 1, and members are not happy with that decision, because of the, adding that can come with costly, and now having the budget in terms of, the team that was given, we have a low budget, so the team might have, negative influence towards each other and those kind of things. So now it depends. And how does the team influence powerful individual and groups outside the team? And that also is very, very important. Now you find that in some instances, you find that people from different departments within this networking team, some of the individual have the power because of their experience in working for the organization for longer years. Now they might have other relationship outside of other departments, so they might have influence on other members across the team or across other departments. So that also can be a negative a negative aspect that can influence other department about certain individual within the team. So we have to look things in a positive manner. If there are issues, those issues needs to be addressed, and meetings has to be facilitated in order to solve those problems. And also, we've got the skills. So what is the mix of the skills needed to do the team's work? So in this instance, we have the skills that are needed in terms of technical support, individual who has the capacity to configure the switches and the routers. So it is clear in this instance or in this exercise that we need people who have the expert to configure the switches and the routers. And also what technical or functional skills are needed. As I've mentioned, in terms of the skills that are needed in terms of the networking team, we need precisely individuals who have the expert or the skills in terms of configuring the switches and the routers. And what problem solving and decision making skills are needed. So because of now it's a technical aspect in terms of now configuring these switches and routers, we need a decision maker in terms of if it happens where there are certain configuration that are needed that can impact the whole environment. uh, what are the mitigating steps, and can we do that configuration within that network, and is it appropriate to do it at this particular time? So in terms of solving the problem and also understanding the impact of that solution to the environment, we need a person who has the skills to advise in terms of that solution we can take it. And what other interpersonal skills are needed? So those are the skills that are needed within a team. So moving further on to slide 9. Also, we've got the most important item, which is communication. How will team members communicate with one another? So now, since technology has evolved, we've got social platforms where within the team you may find that project team members would allow a team to have a WhatsApp group where communication will be shared every time when there is any other configs that are made on a single LAN. Communication will be shared amongst the group. So now everyone would understand, would know in terms of what needs to be done and what has happened, or what steps or mitigating step has been completed by team members. So every team member would be informed in terms of what has happened or what has been done within the team. And also the communication processes and system will be used. It depends in terms of the processes. For communication process could include your emails, social platforms. It depends, your WhatsApp, that are in place within that organization. It depends in terms of the organization that has installed the processes, communication processes. And also how will the team communicate with individuals and groups outside the team. In this instance, we may find that within the team of the networking, they normally communicate with WhatsApp group. So if there is any other decisions that are needed to be taken, usually the team leader would be informed, and he would take the responsibility in terms of communicating with other team leaders within other departments. So that team leader would use email to communicate with the stakeholders. Also, in terms of conflict, how will the team manage disagreements and conflicts? Conflicts happen most of the time where people will disagree in terms of what could be the solution in terms of the problems encountered. So how will that be addressed? In most cases, uh, managing that is having meetings and everyone saying their perspective based on what needs to be done. And as a team leader, you need the expertise in terms of understanding and not being biased, understanding the team's perspective, individuals. So those are the steps in terms of how you can manage disagreements and conflicts. So these conflicts may arise based on the problem that are encountered at workplaces, and there are steps in order for team leaders and project managers in order for them to solve those conflicts. And also we've got the progress and the results, and how will the progress and result be measured. So in most instances, we've got the KPI, where each and every individual has their own KPI, and based on how or what the tasks are issued to them, they will be measured according to what or how have they performed in terms of the task given. And also we've got the risk and rewards, success and failure. So how much risk can the team may take? It depends on the problem that is encountered. So having taking the decision to shut down the switch, for instance, it's risky for that particular day, because of you find that individuals within this land utilize the switch for communication. So now if we shut down this switch, employees won't be able to communicate through the internet. So those are some of the risk that team leaders need to take. It depends in terms of the problem that is encountered. And what rewards will the team receive for its result? Normally in instances, incentives, team members will receive incentives in terms of the goals that have accomplished, and the tasks that have completed successfully. And how will the team handle success and failures? In most instances, team leaders would form meetings and go through the failures that the team members have encountered, and what can they improve going forward. Creativity and innovation. In what sense does the team sees its role as being creative? This is very much important in terms of thinking outside of the box. Being creative is very important and innovative. We have what we call brainstorming and problem solving processes. This assists us in terms of being creative and thinking outside of the box, because of now we have ideas and alternatives in terms of providing a brainstorming session where we will uh, single out these ideas and having alternatives in terms of how can we go about when we encounter problems. So we need people who have the passion for those kind of roles that are given, in order for them to think outside of the box. And also for motivation, and why do members want to be on the team? We need passionate people with uh, relevant skills, to be amongst the team, and what's in it for them, and how can they help the team. These are questions that needed to be asked and need to be answered. So as a team leader, you need to look at every aspect objectively in terms of the motivation within the team members, and also who is involved in and challenged by the work the team is doing. You need to check in those aspects also. The challenges that encounters within the team, and how does the team help motivate its members. Most instances, team builders also assist, because of sometimes you may find in networking area, you may have a problem that is complex, and now it needs uh, people from from external to assist. So that also can you know uh, demoralize the team members. So we need to motivate the team always by providing skills, having team building, in order for them to clear clear some of the things in their minds, to have more time to think of besides work. So now we need to look in terms of what can we contribute for problem solving. So on the next slide, I'll be taking you through in terms of the contribution to team problem solving. So now the first thing that that needs to happen is you need to plan. You need to have a plan. So before you begin to assemble a team to address the problem, you need to plan your approach. This is important. So this means thinking about who will be on the team and what are your time frame is and what resources you will need to address the problem at hand. So it's very fruitful when you plan ahead in terms of what needs to be done in terms of the problem that you have encountered. You need to address the problem to say now now we have a problem. In this instance, the problem is that there is no network within this network, LAN 1. So LAN 1, there is no network, and employees within the LAN 1 cannot communicate with the outside world. So now what needs to be done is that you need to have a time frame and need to address the resources that the team will need in order for them to solve the problem. And also, if you've got to build a team, you need to show you should aim to put together a team that has the skills needed to solve the problem, and that is just clear and concise. You need to have a team that has the skills in order for you to solve the problem. It's easier. You need to assemble people that will be able to solve issues, solve problems whenever encountered, and also that has time and energy to commit to the problem solving processes. And keep in mind that a diverse team is more likely to find a creative solution than a team of people with the same outlook. This is true. So now, for instance, I would recommend within the team of this caliber having both networking and security team. So that's, for instance, if these guys configure the switches and routers, we have also the networking guys who would implement security features within our router and switches and also configure the firewall security. That also assist us, you know. So don't have you shouldn't have a team of networking only, because now when you encounter security issues, it will be a problem for you to solve the solution. Also, we have uh, describing the problem. So once your team has settled in, you need to describe the problem in detail, specify the who, what, when, where, how, and why, and how many, and use the techniques and the problem definition process to ensure that you are focusing on the right problem. So you need to describe the problem in detail. You need to specify and use the techniques in order for you, you know, to actually find mitigating steps to solve the problem. And also you need to implement a temporary fix. So once your team understands the problem, come up with a temporary fix. This is particularly important if the problem is affecting customers, reducing quality or showing down work processes. Harness the knowledge of everyone on the team and to ensure the and also you need to implement a temporary fix. Once your team understands the problem, you need to come up with a temporary fix. So im- this is particularly important if the problem is affecting the customer, reducing the product quality or showing down work processes. And also you need to harness the knowledge of everyone on the team. Also, you need to ensure that each person's ideas are heard. Consider using brainstorming techniques. Also, you need to identify and eliminate the root cause. Once your temporary fix is in place, it's time to discover the root cause of the problem. You need to conduct a cause and effect analysis to identify the likely causes of the problem. So now, eliminating the root causes or the root cause, it's when you actually find um, what is it that actually, you know, is the problem in this instance. So now, giving a practical example is that now you have an issue where the network for LAN 1 is always down. So finding that root cause, it would be, trying to figure out what could be the problem. So now you find out that one of the switch port access that's connecting from router 1 to the firewall, now and then an administrator would mistakenly shut it down. So hence why you find that there is no network or connectivity from LAN 1 to the network. So those are what we can, find the root cause and actually, you know, conduct the cause and effect analysis, to identify the likely causes of the problem. And also you need to verify the solution. So once your team agrees on a permanent solution, you need to make sure that you test it thoroughly before you fully implement it in the next step. Also, you need to implement a permanent solution. So once your team reaches a consensus on the solution, you need to roll out your fix out. Monitor this new solution closely for an appropriate period of time to make sure that it's working correctly and ensure that there are no unexpected side effects. Also, you need to prevent problem from reoccurring. When you are sure that the permanent solution has solved the problem, you need to gather team together again to identify how you will prevent the problem from reoccurring in the future. You might need to update your organization's standards, policies, procedures, or training manual to reflect the new fix. So in terms of preventing the problem for reoccurring in some instances is by having a fix in terms of how and how would you go about in terms of the mitigating steps, prevent the problem from not reoccurring, would be highlighting in terms of the mitigating step what needs to happen. And lastly, you've got the celebrating the team successes. This is where you would reward your team successes, saying thank you to everyone who is involved in terms of contributing to the team, and be specific how each person's hard work has made a difference. That is important. That needs to be emphasized a lot. You need to always, plan, a celebration to communicate with your appreciation to your team, because of their hard work. It assists in terms of solving problems. So that is important in terms of celebrating the team successes. So I would like you guys to, go through your learner guide on page 15. It talks about the advantages and the disadvantages of using a group to solve a problem. Please go through those advantages and disadvantages on page 15 in your learner guide. Moving right along, we've got what we call the nominal group technique, which is an NGT abbreviated. This is a structured method for group brainstorming that encourages contributions from everyone. So you may find in some instances, you find that within the team that you have, people are encouraged because of now the expertise or the skills that they possess within the team. They contribute, and they contribute whenever you have a brainstorming sessions, and they contribute in terms of providing solutions where there are problems encountered. So when to use the nominal group technique, it's when some group members are much more vocal than others. when some group members think better in silence, when there is concern about some members not participating, when the group does not easily generate qualities of ideas, when all or some group members are new to the team, and when the issue is controversial or there is heated conflict. So this is a technique that you can use in order for you to encourage contributions from anyone, from everyone. So for instance, you may find that in most instances, there is a team where you have people who are not, you know, there's maybe half of the team, not contributing, not because of maybe they don't understand or don't know in terms of solving the problem, but they don't have the skills in order for them to solve the problem. So that's where you can utilize this method, where you can easily encourage those who know to contribute, to the team, to share the skills transfer, you know and to give each member the opportunity to say or to have their opinion based on what is at hand. So this technique also assists in terms of getting feedback from the team. And also we've got the procedure in terms of the NGT. The procedure goes like this. It states the subject of the brainstorming, which it clarifies the statement as needed until everyone understands it. Each team member slightly thinks of and writes down as many ideas as possible in a set period of time within the 5 to 10 minutes. And each member in turn states aloud one idea, in which the facilitator records on the flip chart. You need to discuss each idea in turn. Wording may be changed only when the idea's originator agrees, and ideas may be stricken from the list only by an anonymous agreement. And also needs to prioritize the ideas using a multi-voting or a list reduction. So this is a procedure for the nominal group technique that needs to be adhered to when we utilize this technique for nominal the group, which is the NGT, the nominal group technique. So that's it in terms of session one. What I've covered for session one is going back in terms of the outcomes, the contribution made, which are relevant to and focused to on the subject matter and group team objectives. I've covered that. Also, problem solving are made in the range of decision making processes and contexts. Also, I've covered that. Decision making are made on the basis of available data and made objectively, and also utilizing verbal and non-verbal feedback to show interest and opinion and encourage contributions from others. I've managed to cover that in terms of the types of teams that we have, what needs to be done in terms of the team building, the major issue facing, the team contributing to problem solving, and the technique that's being used whenever there is the team members not contributing much, from contributing much in team meetings or in tasks that are given out to the team. So utilizing this technique may assist the team also to give skills transfer and having everyone to participate in group activities. So let's move on to session 2, the last session for this unit standard. And the title for this session is contribute to group or team functions. So we also have to understand to that within the contributions that are made in the group or team functions, we also have to understand the benefits of team working. So contribution may vary depending on the team that you have in place, the people, the personnel who have the skills, and what are the team functions, the team goals, the team objectives. So it may vary. So we need to look in terms of the benefits of the team working together. So on the next slide, I'll go through in terms of the benefits of effective team working. So there are a number of things that need to be in place for a team to be effective. These includes, the shared goal and a common vision. So many teams do not have a clear objectives. Often it is assumed that team members know the purpose of the team and what the team is trying to achieve. So it's important to have a clear goals and need to state those objectives within the team. So that also assist, continuously sharing these objectives within the team. That assist us in having the common vision. So having a clear sense of direction is one of the most important factors to create an effective team. You need to ask your team what they want people to be saying about them in 2 to 5 years' time, and you will start to develop a vision. When you set objectives, you need to involve your team, keep them simple, and make sure you have no more than six. So it is important, whenever setting out objectives, to involve your team, and also you need to continuously share these objectives to the team so that they know and they understand what is needed from the team. And also it assists them in having consciously understanding and having the common vision in terms of what is needed for them to do. Also we have the accountability. For example, healthcare professionals are accountable for their own practice, but they are also accountable for the team working. So this means that they are expected to demonstrate the attitudes, behaviors, and actions that promote good team working. So in the IT field, being accountable is setting out your KPI clear. So what tasks that are given to you, you need to perform according to your capability. You need to understand what needs to be done from your perspective and be accountable in terms of the changes or the output that you give out to the tasks that are given. Building an effective team means managing individual performance, including poor performance. This can be both challenging and time consuming, but it's essential for building a strong team. So, having to deal with poor performance may result in other issues also that should be, you know, being considered also. So, issues may arise and needs to be addressed, and there should be solutions in terms of how can you uh, you know mitigate or have solutions in terms of improving poor performance. Also, you need to clear roles and responsibilities. Lack of clarity about roles and responsibilities can lead to conflict, mistakes, and poor use of resources. So in most cases you may find that within roles, there are too many people doing the same roles, and that causes confusion within team members. Also, team leaders may issue out instructions to all the individuals or team members, the same instructions. So one particular individual may be assigned to do the same report that two or other three members are doing the same report, and it's lack of trust in some instances, and sometimes that can causes confusion, and conflict may arise now because of now we find that there is no progress within the team. The team are actually doing the same thing, and they are reporting on the same thing, and there is no progress. So that also needs to be cleared in terms of who does what and what needs to be done. And also the most important thing is training. So training is essential where people are undertaking roles previously carried out by the others. So most instances, within the team, it's advisable to have an expert that, in most cases, would do skills transfer, to other employees, that assist the team, for them to grasp the knowledge and the skills, where they would, uh, do or undertake task, you know that are previously carried out by, expect when they are no longer at the organization. That is also important. So let's look in terms of the good communication in the next slide. Good communication is crucial for successful team working, and that means effective team meetings. It is an important forum to allow everyone to have their say, feedback to the team progress against objectives, and recognize achievements. So it's important to, set everyone to, to say their part in terms of what the task at hand, and you know understanding their perspective in terms of what are they thinking, what are their capabilities, what can be improved, because that also is important. We cannot see the things in the same way. Even if you are experienced, sometimes people or other members within the team might come with different perspectives, which can improve and allow everyone to be, be flexible in terms of be free in terms of, achievements that are being set out. Also, I would like you guys to go through the 10 qualities of an effective team player, on page 21 to 23 on your learner guide. This also would assist you in terms of understanding the qualities in terms of an effective team player. So let's look at building a collaborative team environment. You know, this is also important in terms of which the teams are expected to produce result on a given day. And now we've got clients where we, in the normal cases, we have about five important clients, and in this instance we are expected to produce result. And now, because of performance is hindered when team members do not work well together, we need to build a collaborative team environment. So a collaborative team environment is essential for team success. And also there are certain stages that we need to understand, and we need to know in order for us to build this collaborative team environment. So let's look at having a common purpose and goal. So a team is defined as a group of people working together toward a common goal. So without a goal, there is no team. So there are ideas for creating a common goal, which includes creating and reviewing the team's charter, discussing why the team exists, allowing each team member to express commitment, creating mottos, symbols, uh, awards, or posters that portray the team as one unit, and also lastly use the common purpose to prioritize team action. Also, we have trusting each other. Team members must trust each other if they are to work together successfully. Ideas for creating trust among team members include being honest with each individual, work to eliminate conflicts of interest, avoid talking behind each other's backs. You need to trust your teammates. You need to give team members the benefit of the doubt. So this item is very important. In most organizations, uh, you find like this. It's, people are, they look up, they look for themselves. They look to impress the team leaders, or they look to impress the project managers. So they talk behind each other's backs. They would highlight the mistakes that certain individual would make, and that also has an impact in terms of the team member. So in most instances, you need to avoid negative, negative energy within the team. You need to be honest all the time. When there's something that you're not happy with, you need to communicate with that certain individual and make that individual aware in terms of how maybe they address or they talk to you. Those are important elements. And also, we need to look at clarifying roles. Knowing everyone's role and being familiar with the responsibility of those roles create efficiency and flexibility. So these ideas for clarifying roles on them includes reviewing team members' roles frequently. This is very important. You need to frequently review the team members' roles, né? And what are they expected to do. You need to relate team members' expectation to the team overall purpose and clarify responsibilities when action are planned. Learn what others do on the team and figure out ways to help each other. So if one team member struggles, you need to, that the whole team needs to understand the impact of the certain individual, not being able to assist would impact on the overall purpose of the team. And also, we need to communicate openly and effectively. Miscommunication can create hard feelings and undermine the success of the team. Ideas for improving communication includes error on the side of over communicating. Seek to understand all angles. Take responsibility for being heard and understood. Work to clear up misunderstandings and quickly and accurately, and reinforce and recognize team members' efforts. So we need to communicate effectively and openly. Sometimes overemphasizing can cause miscommunication. You need to be clear in terms of how you communicate with your team and set out what needs to be done to each team member, and that also will help you to accomplish your goals as a team. You need to appreciate diversity. Team members come from all walks of life with different backgrounds and perspectives. Ideas for taking advantage of team diversity includes: remember that reasonable people can and do differ with each other. Very true. And then you need to try to learn as much as you can from others. It doesn't mean when you are an expert you know everything. You need to learn to work with others. No, that on its own would take you far, because of you would literally understand some of the things or some of the decisions when people take them, because of you would fully understand why have that particular person done that decision. We need to learn and need to embrace people who come from different backgrounds. And also we need to learn to be patient with one another. That's part and parcel in terms of appreciating diversity. I feel sometimes, because of we are stuck with this, having to attain skills and gaining knowledge, that also can get into our heads, and we may treat each other badly, and we may uh, undermine people who have less skills and less knowledge. So it's important, to humble yourself in most cases and understand people in terms of the decisions that they take in most cases, because of there is a root cause for them taking those kind of decisions. So these always assist us in terms of being reasonable, learning as much as possible, uh, you know allows us to grow also as individuals, and being the best of ourselves. So that's it in terms of session 2. So I'll go through your formative and summatives in terms of what needs to be done for this unit standard. So let's look at your formative or some formative assessment for this unit standard. Let's look at activity 1 for 5 marks. Remember, you need to go accordance with the mark allocation that are given. So in this instance, you need to identify major issues that team face. That's for 5 marks for activity 1. And also activity 2, you need to describe and explain how one can contribute to team problem solving. That's for 10 marks. Remember, we need to go according to the mark allocation. So this is evidence that you'll be deemed according to. So if there's less evidence, chances for you to be competent are less. So you need to allocate much more evidence in order for you to be competent. Also, activity 3, you need to describe the suitability of the nominal group technique in problem solving. That's for 5 marks. And for session 2, activity 4, you need to outline the benefits of working as a team. That's for 5 marks. And activity 5, you need to outline the qualities that can make one contribute effectively to a group and a team function. That for 10 marks. Remember, mark allocations are important. You need to adhere to mark allocations. I'll emphasize that, more especially where there are marks given. So your evidence that needs to be attached to this question needs to be in accordance to the mark allocation given. Less evidence, chances of you being not your competent are high, because now you will be deemed according to what how have you managed to include the evidence in your answer. That is important, and you need to adhere to that. Failure to do that and skipping these questions will deem you not yet competent. And also for activity 6, you need to identify ways of building a collaborative team environment. That's for 10 marks. And for activity 7, you need to outline important roles that contribute to the working of a group or a team. That's for 8 marks. And that's it in terms of your learner workbook activities for this unit standard. So let's move on to your summative assessment. So for your summative assessment for activity 1, you need to define a team and identify different types of teams. That's for 5 marks. Again, guys, I will emphasize this. In terms of, there are certain questions that they repeat themselves from your learner workbook activity and summative assessment. So what you can do, based on the answers or on the evidence that you have provided, you can just copy out your answers and paste them to your summative assessment. But you shouldn't copy everything off, because of the techniques that have been used to populate your summative and formative assessment are different. Meaning, the techniques how these assessments are structured are different. So you only copy out the answers and pasting, not everything off. Also, for activity 2, you need to outline how one can contribute to team problem solving. That's for 10 marks. And activity 3, you need to list advantages and disadvantages of using a group to solve problem. That's for 10 marks. Activity 4, you need to outline 10 qualities of an effective team player in order to contribute to the proper functioning of a group or a team. That's for 10 marks also. Please bear in mind, in terms of mark allocation, it's important to answer according to mark allocation given. Activity 5, what are the roles that contribute to the atmosphere of a group or team? That's for 8 marks. And activity 6, you need to explain the importance of treating others in a respectful and supporting manner. That's for 5 marks. So that's it in terms of your summative assessment for this unit standard. If there are any further questions that you need clarity, you can just contact me on my social platforms, the group that you are in. Please just hit me up on social platforms so that I can be able to clarify the question. So thank you, and that's it in terms of this unit standard. In our next session, which will be next week, we will cover unit standard 14919, which will start on the 8th of April, which is scheduled for next week. So we will start doing this unit standard 14919 next week, Monday. So thank you, and I will see you next week with the new unit standard being performed. Thank you and take care.